that I want to say to the people that are watching us live on the internet. Good morning. And as always, it is good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. You know, there's something I want to say, sisters and brothers, before we get into this lesson. As we have a lot of people saying a lot of things about what they can't read in the Bible. And you might notice that some things I never speak on because I can't go in the Bible and read about it. One of them is New Year's is pagan. You can't find that written in the Bible. Well, if you're going to go, we're going to deal with it because it's in January. And January is named after the god Janus. So what? You can't find it written in the Bible. Okay? As far as Thanksgiving is concerned, you can't find when thou shalt not give thanks. And you're going to decide who people who know God and who don't. Maybe God know who know him and who don't. He knew to send Cornelius, the Italian, an angel, and sent him to Peter. So, sisters and brothers, we need to get off of that. And then you're talking about birthdays. What's wrong with celebrating the birthday? Some sisters worry about candles. What is candle? Wax and wicks. When the last time you seen somebody fall on their knees and worship a candle? But worst of all, that really offends me, and I'm going to tell you this, is Mother's Day. Oh, your Mother's Day is pagan. Read it to me. The Lord told you in his commandments, honor thy mother and thy father. If you don't, maybe they need a day to remind you that you should. You see, people bring this stuff to me, they think I don't overlook it. I know about all of this, what's supposed to represent whatever. But when I go in the Bible and I can't read it, I don't deal with it. Look, you have to abstain from Christmas and Easter because all that's written. You can go and read that. You understand? Sabbath day, you can read that. But any time you can have a little time around your family, that's a time you can use to teach them about your God. But I see one thing with Israel is a real flaw. We have a lot of accusers instead of edifiers. Israel of God, been in existence for over 30 years, well over 30. And one of the hardest jobs I ever had was keeping the Israel of God from become a bunch of fanatics. We are not going to have it. And I want to say something, I mean it. The brother that teach anything that he can't read, like New Year's is pagan, like Thanksgiving is pagan, and Mother's Day, have a good look at him. I mean, take a good look because you won't see him here no more. At the rostrum. He might teach somewhere else, but not in the Israel of God. Because that's what's going on now. You don't understand the baggage that the Israel of God had to carry because of other Hebrew Israelites. Hate everything. Hate everybody. Can't do nothing. You can't even play cards. You can't do nothing. It get to the point that all the servants of Satan can enjoy the things that the Lord put out for his servant to enjoy too. You can't do none of them. You're going to be looking over on Satan's side. Or you'll be called them a bunch of fanatics over there. If you can't read it, don't say it from the Israel of God roster. You can teach it anywhere you want to, but you ain't going to do it here. And believe me, brothers that teach at the Israel of God, I'm talking about everybody. Don't think I am playing because this is serious business here. Never should you ever make a statement, somebody say, read this to me out of the Bible, and you can't do it. Never. We are the Israel of God Bible study class. And how many times you heard me say, if you can't read it, don't believe it. I'm not teaching pagan history. I'm not teaching what you can read in any kind of book anywhere. I'm teaching this book right here. If it's not in here, it don't concern me. It's all that simple. I just want the brothers to understand that. So when you start talking about New Year's, you can say all you want on the corner. Talking about Thanksgiving, kicking against it, you can kick all you want on the corner. Same thing about Mother's Day. Same thing about birthdays. Frankly speaking, if you had something to teach and you had some understanding, you ain't got time to get off into that. Because there's a lot of stuff, sisters and brothers, that man don't understand. Some of the stuff we're going to run through right now when we deal with this lesson. But I just want to make that clear. So now everybody know that Bowie don't have no problem with New Year's. He don't have no problem with Thanksgiving. Don't have no problem with Mother's Day. Don't have no problem with birthday. So if you got a problem with Bowie for not having a problem, then you find you another congregation. And I'm serious. Because I will not be the head of a bunch of fanatics. We're supposed to be the priest of all the sons and daughters of Adam. And if we ain't going to be priests, we ain't going to be nothing. And I want the camps to understand, all outside the camps that are not here, every one of them have the name of the Israeli God on them. Every one, I have the deed for the property and the thing upstairs in the safe. If you decide that you ain't going to go with it, no problem. Let me know. I will close you and sell your property and build somewhere else where somebody else want it. Because I don't been fighting these Israelites outside of the Israeli God for years. And you think I'm going to do battle inside my own house? I don't think so. Either we're going to serve God or we ain't going to serve nobody else. And always, and that's why you don't hear me talking about all these conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff. We ain't got time for that. New world order. The new world order is when the Lord set his kingdom upon this earth. That's the only new world order I talk about. We are not dealing with nothing that you can't read. I can get all these brothers that teach the Bible. I don't critique their lesson. I don't listen. I don't do nothing. You know why? Because as long as they stay in the Bible, they are right. As long as they stay here. So now we're going to get on with this lesson. Today's lesson is titled, Children of the Covenant. Children of the Covenant. Because, sisters and brothers, we're going to find out that God is a God that deals with covenants. If you cannot enter into a covenant, that means an agreement. He's going to make you promises and you got to make him promises. If you cannot enter into agreement, you can't serve this God. That's why people tell you that, the Lord love you without condition. That's the biggest lie ever been told. You don't love your own children without condition. Now we're going to pick this up because the Lord's been dealing with covenants since he brought Israel across the flood. We're going to go to Genesis, the 9th chapter. Genesis chapter 9. Because, sisters and brothers, we got to deal with this word. We got to deal with it the way it is. We don't have no room for expanding. We don't have no room for creativity. I tell the brothers, you want to teach, get up and teach what you understand and what you can teach out this book. You don't have to hit a home run. You don't have to be dynamic. All you got to do is be right. Somebody, well, this brother here teach real good. I said, good. Well, he ain't as good as the other. Do we teach the Bible? Yeah, well, he teach real good too. That's the way we look at it. You are here for the message, not the messenger. All right. And don't ever forget it. Genesis 9:1. Okay, go ahead.
And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth.
Now this is the same directive that God gave Adam and Eve. But people don't understand what replenish means. That's repopulate, redo. Because Adam and Eve was not the first on this earth. They were just the first man. Okay? So to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Skip down to verse 8 and go ahead.
And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you. Now,
first thing the Lord did was brought up a covenant, didn't it? I'm going to establish my covenant with you and your seed after you. Go ahead and read.
And with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you.
Now, he not only did he establish a covenant with man, but also with the beast too, didn't he? Everything that breathes. Go ahead and read.
From all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth.
Go ahead.
And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations.
Now he said, look, I'll make a covenant that I ain't going to never drown or destroy the earth by water no more. And he said, this is the token of the covenant. Go ahead and read.
And I set my bow in the clouds, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
Now, he said, I set my bow in the cloud. And short, sisters and brothers, every time it get to raining and get rough, then that rainbow show up. Look at it, because you're looking at the same thing that God is looking at the same time. Because he said he set it there as a token of the covenant. Remember to stop this raining before I drown everybody again. But this is the covenant that he has. And every time it rains, you can see that he have not broken his covenant because it don't continue, does it? It might a little here, a little there, but it never get off. And you got some places that got some flooded, but you never have drowned the whole earth again. He said, I ain't going to do that no more. This is a covenant that he made, sister and brother. Because God is a God of covenants. Even when you don't have to give him nothing back. Now, what can we give God here to keep him from drowning? He said he's going to do this. He make that on it. He didn't ask you to do nothing on this. Later on, he's going to start telling you what he requires of you. But we're going to pursue this a little bit. Let's go into Genesis, the 16th chapter.
16.
Pardon me? Oh, skip. I'm sorry. Let's skip down to verse 16. Verse 16, and go ahead. Before we go there. Go ahead.
And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth.
So he said, the bow is going to be in the cloud. I'm going to look on it, that he's going to remember an everlasting covenant he has made with man and all the creatures on the earth. So you can rest assured that the earth will never be drowned again. Never. Because God said, this is his covenant. And out of all of these years, just think about it. He set this bow in the air when it started raining in the days of Noah and his son. And we still seeing it this day. That let you know that the Lord is everlasting. And people tell me, well, I don't know about God. I say, I know whatever he said, it happens that way. Now let's go into Genesis, the 16th chapter. Because we got the Lord get further and further. And he lets you know that, hey, you got to enter into an agreement with me. People don't like agreements. Because when you enter an agreement, that means you got to give up something to get something. And sometimes people don't want to do that. 16:1. Go ahead.
Now Sarah, Abram's wife, bare him no children.
Now this is Abraham. Before he was named Abraham, he was Abram. So his wife bare no children. Because we're going to start with what Sarah come up with. And we're going to look at what God came up with. So Sarah, Abraham's wife, was barren, had no children. Go ahead and read.
And she had a handmaid, an Egyptian whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said unto Abram, behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid, that it may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai.
So Sarai went into a fleshly thing. You understand? She could have just as easily gone to God and petitioned him. But no, she going to go to her husband, so now go into my handmaid and have a child by her. You know, I'm going to tell you something, sisters and brothers. This Sarah is the mother of Ishmael. You know the ones over there, the Arabs? Oh, Hagar, rather. You know, Hagar is the mother of Ishmael, the Arab, out of which ISIS came. And a whole lot of stuff going on. We're not going to read that, but you know what the Lord said? He said, you're going to have a son. He's going to have 12 princes going to come out of him. He's going to be a wild man. His hand is going to be against every man, and every man's hand against him. You going to tell me that God don't know what he's talking about? So every time you look at this, think about it. This is what Sarah and them finna concoct now. Her and Abraham. Go ahead and read.
3. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife.
Go ahead.
And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived, And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
So when she found out that she was pregnant, she hated her mistress. Probably a flesh thing too. Hey, you couldn't give him no babies. Why should you be the wife? But what happened? Go ahead and read.
And Sarah said unto Abram, my wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between me and thee.
So, what she do? She started mistreating her handmaid, Hagar. And Hagar ran off, but we ain't concerned with that. We're concerned with the covenant. So skip down to verse 11. Verse 11. Because the Lord intervened. Verse 11. Go ahead and read.
And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael.
Go ahead.
Because the Lord hath heard thy affliction.
So Sarah, the handmaid, wasn't guilty of nothing. You understand? But Sarah afflicted this woman and was messing with this woman, so she ran off, and the Lord heard her, and he said, look, I done heard you, and I'm going to bless you. Skip down to verse 16. Verse 16 and go ahead.
And Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram.
So he was 80 years old. And that was the only son he had. That was the first son he had. I want you to remember this now. He is the oldest son. But he was a son of the flesh and not a son that was brought about by the word of God. And we're going to learn something here. Now let's go into Genesis the 17th chapter. Genesis 17th chapter. And start at verse 1. Go ahead.
And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect.
Go ahead.
And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly.
Now, he didn't mention about Ishmael. He had been around a while. He said, but I'm going to make my covenant between you and thee, and I'm going to multiply thee. Let's see. And he was going to even mention his seed. Go ahead and read.
And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations.
So my covenant with you, and you're going to be a father of many nations. That have two sides to it, sisters and brothers. Abraham was a father of many physical nations, but then he is also the father of the faithful, which cover people in all nations. Go ahead and read.
Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee. Because
the word Ham means many, sisters and brothers. So he changed his name to fit the people that he's going to be father over. Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9 and go ahead.
And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations.
Go ahead.
This is my covenant.
So now he put something on. Now he requires something of man now. When he made the covenant about he ain't going to drown the earth, he didn't tell man he had no responsibility. But now he's going to make it man now. He said, now this is my covenant with you. Go ahead and read.
Which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised.
Every man child among you shall be circumcised. Every, that's an absolute, isn't it? Go ahead and read.
And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you.
Not only is it a covenant, it is the token of the covenant that he's going to make. This is the covenant that's going to come later on. That's why people got upset with me when I started telling people I don't baptize no uncircumcised male, because you're going to find out right now. Now remember now, this is God talking to Abraham. This is the God of every generation. This is the one that came in the flesh and took on his father's name that we know as Jesus. This guy don't have no memory lapse. And he said, I don't change. So look what this God said. Go ahead and read.
12. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. Every man child in your generations.
Every man child in your generation. Go ahead.
He that is born in the house or brought with money, or any stranger which is not of thy seed.
Not only he that is born in the house, but any stranger that is bought with money from among that is not of your seed. The Lord just stepped this thing up and went spiritual on it right here. But don't nobody pay no attention to it. He said, but look, that's bought with money. We're going to run in and find out what that is talking about. Go ahead and read.
He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised.
Those are strong words, ain't it? Must needs be circumcised. God made a strong statement there, didn't he? Because he named two absolutes. Must is something that have to be. And need is something that have to be. Y'all understand what he's doing here? People say, well, that's bad grammar. No, God is making a statement here. There ain't no circumventing this under no circumstances. What verse is that?
Middle of 13.
Go ahead.
And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant.
Go ahead.
And the uncircumcised man child whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant.
Now why should I baptize a guy that the Lord's going to cut off for not keeping the first covenant that God required man to agree with? So every man child, whether he is born in the house or whether he is a stranger that is not an Israelite, that is bought with money, he got to be circumcised. That's why, sisters and brothers, people got real mad at me when I took issue with Paul when he went up there and talked Peter them out of letting the Gentiles off the hook. Now it got so bad, people telling you ain't got to have them. There ain't nobody got to be circumcised. All you got to do now is be spiritually circumcised. Moses told you that first. To be spiritually circumcised, that means you want to do everything God said. If he said remove the foreskin, that's what you're going to do. But let's look at this thing, because that bought with money represent bringing the Gentile in, but also that represent the blood of Jesus. And even Israel got to come under that. Yes, but if you already belong to him, then all you got to do is do what he said. But let me show you. I don't want to interpret. Let's go into Acts the 20th chapter and look at this thing. Acts chapter 20. See, the problem is, sisters and brothers, the Lord tell you to get wisdom and knowledge, but with all you're getting, get understanding. And if you get some understanding, then you know exactly what the Lord is talking about when he said. But you have to get some understanding. A lot of people quote a lot of Bible, do a lot of talking and quoting quote stuff like they're reading it in their mind. But when it comes to understanding, they fall off the wagon, sister and brother. Now you're going to find out, see, God is a God. He said he called the end from the beginning. He knowing how that he is going to bring everybody under this covenant that came with Jesus. And we're going to show you that covenant was announced in the days of Abraham. We're going to read one verse, Acts 20 and verse 28. 20 and 28. Go ahead.
Take heed, therefore, unto yourselves and to all the flock over the which the Holy Ghost hath made you overseers.
Go ahead.
To feed the church of God, which he hath purchased with his own blood.
What did he purchase it with?
With his own blood.
You belong to him. That's why you hear Paul make a statement all the time. He called himself a prisoner of Christ. You have been bought. So he knew that money that he used, that Abraham, that was not Israel, Hebrew born, he said, hey, when you buy with money, they are part of the same household. They all have to walk by the same law. There is no deviation. Because it says you bought with a price. And the price is the blood of Jesus. You have to be honest. That's why a lot of my brothers kick against that. I said, but you kicking against something that somebody else have given you, but you don't understand nothing. Have brothers even trying to tell me there's a different definition for virgin. That's weird. Virgin means a woman that ain't laid with no man everywhere else. But when you're reading the Bible, it means something else. I said, boy, I've seen the epitome of stupidity. Now let's look and let you know that it is the blood. It is the covenant, sisters and brothers, that you have to deal with. That's the covenant. Everybody that's born in the house, now even Israel, have to be purchased with the blood of Jesus. But it started out like that. It shouldn't be no great mystery. Let's go into Exodus the 12th chapter. Shouldn't be no great mystery, sisters and brothers. But the problem is, we don't want to read. We want to make everything up. That's why that's why I'm so offended when people quote something or say something is this and that, and you're supposed to be a Bible teacher, and you're supposed to be an edifier, and you're going to talk something that you read in some book some other time. You can do that all you want somewhere else. Because somebody got to do this thing right, sisters and brothers. Somebody got to do this thing right. Because we just cannot continue to make up what we think, what we like or don't like. Whether I like it or not, if the Bible said, I'm going to roll with it. All right. Because I know one thing about this God, he's going to put me somewhere. And I'm going to find out what I have to do to keep him from putting me somewhere that I don't want to be. Now let's look at how this thing started out. See, this is what the Lord tells. Get wisdom and knowledge, but with all you're getting, get understanding. And I hear a lot of people bring things to me, well, you look at this and you look at that, and you ain't like other people, or even like our Carla, you know, it ain't like other people. No, because we ain't like other people. Other people are the student, and I am the teacher. I am the priest. You are the priest. Why is it that you insist on following somebody else? That's what really offends me. People pick up the telephone. They won't call. That offends me. You know why? It's because you're going to tell me, well, you know, everybody else is doing. That's why I'm here. To change everybody else. I'm the priest. So we're going to get us some spiritual understanding. Exodus 12, and let's start reading at verse 1. 12 and 1. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
Go ahead.
It shall be the first month of the year to you.
Now, we know what month it is. It's not January, but that's irrelevant to us. You understand? Somebody asks you, well, is this the first of the year? No, it's not the first of the year. It's not the first of God's year. Then you tell them when. Because he said, this month it shall be the month of beginning of the months of you. Go ahead and read.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house.
See, sisters and brothers, the Lord is dealing with dates. He's not dealing with the time of barley or wheat or anything else. People bring, well, you see, this is the time when the barley come up. He's dealing with dates. You understand? Dates that you can see all over the world. I'm not in Jerusalem. I ain't never seen a barley crop in Chicago. But I can see a date. On the 10th day, everybody's supposed to put them up a lamb. Each one to call. You finish that third verse?
Yes, sir.
Skip down to verse 6 and go ahead.
And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day.
And you shall keep it up until the 14th day. Go ahead.
Of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
Now, and you shall kill it in the evening. You know what it is? The Lord's days are the evening and the morning of the first day. I have people call and try and question me like I don't know what. Well, you know the evening. Well, you know in between the evening. Every day is in between the evening. It starts with the evening and it ends when the evening of the next day comes. That's in between the evening. I don't like people coming to me like I'm stupid. It bothers me. You understand? And you shall kill it in the evening. So when the sun go down on the 14th, on the 13th day ends, and the 14th day begins when the sun go down. That's when you kill the lamb. You can't kill it a day before. And you have to kill it before the next evening come in. Go ahead and read. What verse?
7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it.
Now you're going to take the blood and you're going to put it over the doorposts in the houses. Go ahead and read where they're going to eat it. Now they're eating something. Go ahead and read.
And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
Look, the Lord said get a lamb according to the house. That means they got to eat all that lamb. That means they feasting here. I don't care how scary it is. They're eating lamb, they're eating unleavened bread, and they're eating herbs. They might be bitter, but they was eating. So why put the blood over? Skip now to verse 12 and go ahead.
For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment.
Go ahead.
I am the Lord.
He said, I'm going to pass through Egypt now, and I'm going to smite everybody. Go ahead and read.
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are.
Now, just like the circumcision is a token, he said, the blood shall be unto you as a token upon the houses. Go ahead and read.
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt.
Now, we see two things here, sisters and brothers. We see people are protected by the blood, and we see another thing. We see faith. They believed God, therefore they put the blood over the doorpost. Faith did not start with Matthew. Faith started when man believed God. Adam and Eve didn't have faith. That's why we die today. Had they believed God, death wouldn't even be in their existence. But everybody that walks under the blood, that put the blood on the doorpost, they had faith. Therefore, they was protected by the blood. Sounding familiar, don't it? But it don't sound familiar if you don't believe in the New Testament. Think about it. Go ahead and read.
14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations.
Wait a minute. Did you call that a feast? Read that again.
And this day shall be unto you a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
Said it twice, didn't it? Somebody tell me what Passover ain't no feast. According to Moses and the Lord it is. Now who am I supposed to believe?
Bible.
You tell me. And if you kept reading, if we had kept on reading, sisters and brothers, without going to the rest of it, we would find out right after this Passover feast came the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But don't nobody understand that. Because you got a lot of people out here trying to say, well, you know, the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover is the same day. That cannot be. You don't have no understanding. You know what leaven means? Sin. How can you be free of sin when you're born in sin, since Adam and Eve sinned against God, and you don't have no blood to remove the sin? The Lord saw the blood. He didn't see the sinners. That means your sin was purged. Why? Because you have been passed over. So once he purged the sin, then you're supposed to be unleavened, sin-free. Don't nobody pay no attention to that. You know why? Because everybody wants physical. Them the one that come up with the lamb. Well, you got some lamb? Yeah, I got one. They crucified him a couple 1,000 years ago. So now, we see now that Passover is indeed a feast, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Skip down to verse 43. We're going to look at the ordinance of this same Passover. Verse 43. See, because sisters and brothers, people go out and listen to people talk. But talk don't work with me. You got to read something on me. That's why I tell everybody, let's read. You got your Bible? Let's read. I know the answer, but I want you to read it with me so then you will know the answer. Verse 43, go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover.
This is the ordinance of the Passover. Go ahead and read.
There shall no stranger eat thereof. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof.
No, he putting it on the table then. But every man's servant. When see, he didn't say about Israel because Israel was automatically circumcised at 8 days old. So he said, but every man's servant who is bought with money, when you have circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. I don't have to interpret that, do I?
No, sir.
Skip down to verse 48 and go ahead.
And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee.
And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee. That's one that's not bought of money. Go ahead and read.
And will keep the Passover to the Lord. Let all his males be circumcised.
Let all his males be circumcised. Go ahead and read.
And then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land.
And let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as one that is born in the land. See, this is the thing, sisters and brothers. Adam and Eve is the mother of all men. Male and female. We are one family. The Lord is trying to recover his family and get rid of all this division. So he said, and so how many people does this law fit? Go ahead and read.
For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof.
No uncircumcised. That's an absolute, ain't it? Go ahead and read.
One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you.
One law shall be to Israel, and one law to any stranger that's joined among us. Even if you ain't sitting in the seat here, when you put yourself on the blood, you have joined among us. But if you are not circumcised, you can not become a part of us, because you have to be circumcised to partake of the Passover. Oh, Brother Boo, you stretching. No, I don't stretch nothing. I read book. Let's go into 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. So that's what, sister and brother, that's what make me so mad. I get up at 4:30 and 5:30 in the morning, study this book with all my might, so I won't make a mistake. Then you're going to come quote to me what somebody else had told you, and you can't read it. It ain't like I'm just sitting around, well, I think I'll get up. I study this. Even when I do it over and over again, I study it. I invest hours after hours after hours in this book. So when I bring you this thing, that you get it right, because the Lord has shown me something that a lot of people, that's gone by a lot of people. Every soul that's being taught by me, I'm responsible for. I have to warn them from God. If I warn them and they refuse to do right, then their blood is on their own head. But if I don't warn them, and they still refuse to do right, they're still going to die in their sin, but their blood's on me. So I don't want all this blood on me. I mess up and repent my own self. But it's going to be pretty rough, especially a lot of people that died that I done led wrong. I done taught the wrong lesson. This is important to me, sisters and brothers. So people get to me sometime, I be trying to show them book or not, and they ain't reading nothing, and I get a little upset. Well, brother, I don't like the way you talk. I don't be liking the way you talk either. Because you ain't calling me a lie, you calling the Lord a lie. So now, did we read that no uncircumcised male should partake of the Passover? Didn't we read this? Now let's show you who that lamb is, the real lamb. Verse 7, 1 Corinthians 5 and 7. Read it.
Purge out therefore the old leaven.
Purge out therefore. You notice he's talking about purging old leaven? That's the sin. Go ahead and read.
That ye may be a new lump.
That ye may be sin free. Go ahead.
As ye are unleavened.
Go ahead.
For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us.
Who is the Passover?
Christ.
So if you're going to partake of Christ, which is the Passover, what must you be? You think Paul and them, they couldn't have read the same thing? Look how many years I'm behind them guys. Look how many years this was written before those guys. So now, you say you're a Christian? You're supposed to be circumcised. That's a Jewish thing. No, that's a God thing. And why he said, purge yourself for that old leaven become a new lump? Because the blood is what purges you, sisters and brothers. It is the blood. That's why I tell you in Hebrews the 10th chapter, it says, look, the blood of bulls and goats could never remove sin. Then Jesus said, therefore, a body you have prepared me. He knew then that he had to come. And Hebrews 10 and 4 it said, look, 10 and 1 it said, Christ by himself purged out sin. You can go read this on your own. On your own, Hebrews 10. Hebrews 10 and 4. Go to Hebrews 1 and 3. And also go to Hebrew 9. It tells you all things are purged by blood. And where there is no blood, there is no remission. Y'all understand me?
Yes, sir.
That's why the Lord said, get you wisdom and knowledge. But all you're getting, get understanding. How is it you going to think that the Lord just did that thing down in Egypt with the lamb, the blood of a doorpost, and once you leave, that's the end of it? You just do that every year. No, you do it every year until Jesus came. And when he came, the veil of the temple was rent, and you ceased to sacrifice animals, sisters and brothers. But this is the covenant, a part of the covenant. You're going to be a part of Jesus? You got to be circumcised. Why circumcised? Because God told you all this house, born in the house, and all that's bought with money. You got to be circumcised. Must needs be circumcised. This is the covenant. Go to Genesis, the 17th chapter. Let's go to Genesis, the 17th chapter. And you tell people all the time, well, you don't have to keep the old covenant. Then, not if you want to, not if you don't want to become God. See, people don't even know that. They don't even know what God is doing. Tell a lot of people, well, I want to be God. Boy, this captain lost his mind. Why shouldn't I want to be what God wants me to be? Hey, he can show you what he called us God.
Yes, sir.
But then we don't know nothing about that because we're trying to create God in man's image. Man's image is too weak. It won't work. Genesis 17. And we're going to start at verse 15. Genesis chapter 17. And we're going to start reading at verse 15. 17 and 15. Okay, read it.
And God said unto Abraham, as for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name be. And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her.
He says, so now you done did this thing with Hagar, but look, Sarah, your wife is going to bear you a son. Go ahead and read.
Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, that is 90 years old, bear?
See, Abraham admitted, he said he's the father of the faithful. The Lord had to show him something to make him faithful. He going to laugh. I'm almost 90 years old. I'm 100 years old, and this woman's in her 90s. How are we going to have a baby? Easy. How can you dig a human pile of dirt out of the ground and make a man out of it? That ain't nothing to God. Then look what he said. He's going to make a suggestion to God. Go, what verse?
18.
Go ahead.
And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee.
Look, God, but look here. Well, I got Ishmael here. Let the covenant go through him. But what did the Lord say? Go ahead and read.
And God said, Sarah, thy wife, shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac.
He said, look, Sarah's going to call your son. You're going to call his name Isaac. I know what I can do. Go ahead and read.
And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
And I'm going to establish my covenant with him, not Ishmael. With him, your son Isaac, and his seed after him. Go ahead and read.
And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him. I will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation.
He said, I heard you about Ishmael. I know who he is. I'm going to make him a great nation. 12 princes going to come out of him. Go ahead and read.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
He said, but my covenant I'm going to establish with Isaac. So the covenant came down through Abraham. It was passed on to Isaac, sisters and brothers. The same covenant that he made. Now let's go into Genesis, the 21st chapter. Because Isaac hadn't been born. So now Isaac is going to be born. Genesis 21. Because people got to understand God is a covenant God, sisters and brothers. If you don't enter into a covenant with you, he don't know you. And you got this big preacher telling me you don't have to know God. All it is that God know you. If you don't know God, then you don't know what to do for him to be aware of you. He got this great big church walking around lying. If you don't know God, he don't know you. Because if you don't know him, you don't know what he requires for you to know him, for him to know you. First thing is, if you don't get circumcised, he don't know you. These things you have to pay attention to. He don't know you. Genesis 21, let's start at verse 1. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham's son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him.
Not only did he bear him in his old age, he bare him in the time, she bare him in the time that he said. Ain't no hit and miss. Go ahead and read.
And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him.
Because he knew the covenant. He had to circumcise him as God had commanded him. Go ahead and read.
And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him.
So now he was 100 years old when he had Isaac. But he said, my covenant is going to go through Isaac, didn't it? Now let me show you something about this covenant now. Let's go into Genesis, the 22nd chapter. Genesis 22, and we're going to start at verse 1. Because the Lord is going to check Abraham and see if Abraham really believed him. Because Abraham didn't believe him at first. That's why he laughed. Look, I'm old and my old lady's old. How are we going to have a baby? The Lord showed him. You're going to have it because I said you're going to have it. Not only are you going to have him because I said it, you're going to have him when I said you're going to have it. After that, Abraham didn't need no more convincing. That's why people are talking about Abraham is God of faith. He believed God and was accounted to him for righteousness. Yeah, once God had convinced him that I know I can do what I said. See, sometimes we don't read the whole story. Because it sounds good. That God, I just believe God without condition. God tell you, hey, prove him. You understand what I'm saying? He ain't like man. And man is not like him. If it was, then we wouldn't be dying. Verse 1. Genesis 22 and 1. Now the Lord going to try Abraham and see if he really believe him. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am.
Go ahead.
And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee in the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will show thee of.
Now we know God don't lie, sisters and brothers. But we also know that Isaac ain't the Lord's only son. So why would the Lord do that? Because he only recognized those that is a part of the covenant. He acted like Isaac didn't even Ishmael didn't exist. You know why? Because he is not a part of the covenant. Skip down to verse 9. Abraham went on down there, grabbed the boy, and got ready to kill him. Verse 9, go ahead and read.
And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me.
Ain't that something? He said, now I know you fear me. People, well, God know everything. I said, I ain't saying what God know or don't know, but I know what I just read here. If he said, now I know that you fear me, what does that imply? That maybe he didn't know it. He didn't know which way this guy was going to go. He said, because thou have not withheld thy son, thine only son. He said it again, didn't he? God can't lie. So only thing that you can get out of this is that he is not the son of the covenant. He is not a part of the covenant. So he didn't know him. It's all that simple, sisters and brothers. But you don't have no understanding. Get people say, well, you see, I can find out in the Bible where God lied. I said, show it to me. You didn't go and read something like that. I said, that ain't God didn't lie. You just didn't have no understanding. God is the God of covenants. If you ain't a part of the covenant, you don't know him. You're a dead man and dead woman walking. He don't see you. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15 and go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, By myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, For because thou have done this thing, and have not withheld thy son, thine only son.
Said it again, didn't it? And he's trying to get you to understand something. Go ahead and read.
That in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven.
He said, I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven. Go ahead and read.
And as the sand which is upon the seashore.
Now that's the physical side. Go ahead.
And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice.
Now this is the spiritual side. And in thy seed shall all the nations. He didn't say Israel, didn't he? He didn't say just the 12 tribes of Israel, didn't he? He said, in thy seed, Abraham, shall all of the nations of the earth be blessed. It would behoove us to pay attention to this, wouldn't it? But he passed this thing right on down to Isaac. Let's go in the 25th chapter of Genesis. And we're going to start at verse 7. Genesis 25. See, this is what I understand, sisters and brothers. When the Lord talking about you're going to have in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. How is it that especially some of us Israelites nowadays think that only Israel is going to be saved? You know, somebody's not thinking at all. And that's the part about it. And then when you get some of the people don't think and they make stupid statements, then people bring it to you. And now you're supposed to deal with it. I'm sorry, I'm too old now. 72 years old. My patience is getting real thin. I have to pray for it. Verse 7, Genesis 25 and verse 7. Go ahead.
And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived.
Go ahead.
160 years.
So he lived 100 and what? 75 years. Boy, I wish I could. Anyway, go ahead.
Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people.
Go ahead.
And his son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah.
That mean Ishmael was still there, wasn't he? So both of them collaborated and they buried their daddy. Go ahead and read.
In the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar, the Hittite, which is before Mamre.
Go ahead.
The field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth. There was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelled by the well Laharoth.
So now the Lord passed that thing on down. He blessed his son Isaac. Let's see what he said with Isaac. Let's go in the 26th chapter of Genesis and start at verse 1. 26 and 1. Okay, read it.
And there was a famine in the land, besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. Now
the Lord done told him, now don't go to Egypt, stay right here. I'm going to give you this land. Go ahead and read.
And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed.
Wait a minute, that sounds familiar, don't it? Because he is the son of the covenant. So he told Isaac the same way. If you go through Jesus' lineage, it's got to come through Isaac. Go ahead and read.
Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
He said, now I'm going to do this because your father Abraham kept my commandments and my statutes and my laws. So something had to be done. Abraham kept his end. Then he gave it to Isaac. Now we're going to go back to the 25th chapter of Genesis, because Isaac didn't live forever either. It had to be passed on. 25, and we're going to start at verse 19. Genesis 25 and verse 19. Okay, go ahead.
And these are the generations of Isaac. Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, his wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian.
Go ahead.
And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived.
Go ahead.
And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord.
So she had twins, sister and brother. Two different nations inside of her. And they couldn't get along then. They were struggling. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
Go ahead.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the younger shall serve, and the elder shall serve the younger.
He said, look, you got two different nations and two different manner of people in your womb. It's even different colors, sister and brother. One black and one is white. They call you the Negro and call him the Jew. But he said, look, I am going to separate them where? At birth. Go ahead and read.
24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau.
Go ahead.
And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare him.
How can this didn't say nothing about what Jacob looked like? But anyway, we ain't going to go there. But the whole thing is, he said you have two different manner of people in your womb. And I'm going to separate them at your bow. And I always tell people, why is it we keep trying to put together what God separated? It's not working. You understand? This person done took everything you got because he figured you done robbed him, but we ain't dealing with that today. It's not working. So let's see what God did with the covenant. Now let's go into Genesis, the 28th chapter. Like I told the brother years ago, he wanted me to hang out, let's come together, we're going to have a talk, we're going to do this here. But every time I go to his camp or either hang around him, you get the one that calls himself Esau. He's going to come and sit among them. So I said, no, I can't do this. Oh, you have ought against him? I said, yeah, I got ought against him. He done took my name. He done took my land and laid hold to my God. You understand what I'm saying? I got big time ought against him. But not in hatred. I just want to not hang with him. Because he don't mean me no good. And the only time we get along is when I'm a prophet to him some kind of way. But I don't hold that against him. If I'm going to let somebody use me, I'll hold that against me for being dumb. So now let's see concerning this covenant, where did it go? Verse 28. So where God sent it, that's where it is, sister and brother. And can't nobody muscle in on it. 28 means the verse 1. Chapter 28 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughter of Canaan.
Look, his wife kind of cornswoggled him to get him out of the way because he said, I'm going to kill Jacob. So, and I don't want him marrying none of these Canaanite women. Send him to my father's house. But she's mostly trying to get rid of him. Go ahead and read. So he won't get killed by his brother. Go ahead.
Arise, go to Padanaram, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother.
And he went out and did it. But on his way, let's see what happened when he got ready to do this. Skip down to verse 10. Verse 10 and go ahead.
And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night.
Go ahead.
Because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillow. And lay down in that place to sleep.
Go ahead.
And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angel of God ascending and descending on it.
So you done heard the term Jacob's ladder. That's what they got from him. While he was dreaming, he saw a ladder going to heaven, and he saw angels going up and coming down on it. Go ahead and read.
And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father,
go ahead,
and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed.
Same thing he told Isaac, didn't he? Go ahead and read.
And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. He
passed it on down, didn't he? So now Abraham kept the covenant. Isaac kept the covenant. And Jacob kept the covenant. But then Jacob went out into Egypt. 70 people, because first Joseph was sold into Egypt by his brother. Then Joseph became the head of Egypt, and he sent for his whole family, and they brought him down in Egypt. But in the meantime, the Egyptian, a Pharaoh that was born, that didn't know Joseph, put Israel in chattel slavery. And the Lord went out now, after 430 years, and delivered Israel out of slavery. So now what he did, now he brought Israel into the wilderness. Now he have them a nation. Israel was not a nation when he went out into Israel. There's 70 people that came out of Jacob. But then when he brought them out, they was a nation. They became a nation in captivity. Just like right now, we're a nation now. We scattered all over the world, but we are a nation. That's why when he brings us back, the Lord asked the question, can a nation be born in a day? Yes.
Jesus said